Hey guys, so President Trump was the best president in my lifetime. I voted for him twice. Governor Ron Desantis is the best governor in my lifetime. I voted for him twice. At the end of this video, I'm going to tell you who I'll vote for if they're both still in the primary by the time it gets to Florida. But first, I want to tell you about Iowa. Why I think DeSantis has a good shot of winning an upset victory in Iowa. Right now, Trump's up by 39% over DeSantis, who's number 2. And then I think Nikki Haley's right behind him. So, first off, this is how DeSantis can win. According to Pew Research, 37% of Iowa caucus voters are evangelical Christians. Now, and the caucus is in like 5.5 weeks. It's the first time Republicans get to vote for our guy. So I was an evangelical for 30 years, so I can tell you what they're thinking. They're thinking the same as Orthodox Catholics that believe the teachings of the faith. The most important issue is abortion. The United States Conference of Catholic Bishops just said it again. The most important issue for Catholics is abortion. Okay? Now, according to Pew Research, 37% of these voters in Iowa are evangelicals. However, when this takes place, there's a good chance it could be 30, 40 degrees below zero, the weather. They could have 3-4 feet of snow. So it's not who can vote, it's who's going to vote. And in the past, the most committed voters have been our evangelical Christian brothers and sisters. They don't see the snow as an impediment. They're like, oh, wow, it's snowing, I can't go. They're like, praise God, this is going to keep the opponent's voters home. They're going to go. And there's been times where it's been like 60 to 70% of the people that participated in the caucus were evangelical Christians. This is why my guy in 1988, Pat Robertson, believe it or not, surprised everybody and took second place. He beat a sitting vice president, George H. Bush, the first George Bush president. Beat Jack Kemp, who was a favorite amongst us conservatives. You know, I love Jack Kemp, but I would have voted for Robertson if I had the opportunity. And that's why I think it was 2008, Mike Huckabee won Iowa, a former Southern Baptist minister. Now, how do they pull off these upset victories, these guys? Because a caucus is much different than a primary. Primary, just go and vote. Nobody knows who you vote for unless you tell them. A caucus is different. So pictures, like 1,699, I think at last count, precincts. So places you go. Could be a church, could be a gym, could be the civic center, whatever it is, a firehouse. You go and you caucus. So what that means is you have people representing you. Ron DeSantis will have his people. Trump will have his people. And they're telling the voters why they should vote for their guy. So then once you decide, okay, I want to vote for this guy, this is literally how it is. So say you got Christie, Ramaswamy, Haley, Trump, DeSantis. So right now, I guess 5 people will be in there unless one of them drops out by then. So they'll have 5 different parts of the room for each guy. You literally physically walk into that square, says DeSantis. And then at the end of the night, at a given time, and I'm not sure the times, and it might be different for each precinct, the person running the caucus for that area will literally count how many people are in DeSantis' part of the room, how many are in Trump's. And it's pretty cool because throughout the day, you're standing in Trump's square, someone from DeSantis' square could come over and talk to you and convince you to come over. And then you'll go and convince some of your friends from Haley's. And so it's like musical chairs until the end. So it's very interesting. So why does DeSantis have a good chance of upsetting everybody, surprising everybody. Because wars are won on the ground. Obama never got that through his head. He couldn't win Iraq and Afghanistan with just the Air Force. We had to have ground troops. We had to have a ground war. You know, you could have the airwaves with all commercials. That's the air game. The ground game is people that are educated, talking to other people that are educated about the voting situation and explain it. Ron DeSantis has the best ground game. You see him trounce his last opponent down here in Florida because of the ground game. Because of the ground game. His people went into Hispanic communities and got the Hispanic vote. People went into black communities and got more of the black vote of any governor, Republican in Florida. His people went into the churches, okay? Now, when Ron DeSantis' people talk to these Christians and says, listen, Ron DeSantis just signed a 6-week abortion ban in Florida, the heartbeat bill. Basically, you can't get an abortion in Florida unless the mother of the life depends on it. Donald Trump has said that's extreme. That's extreme. DeSantis has banned his teachers from teaching sex education to little kids. He's banned these drag queens to come into libraries and teach little kids and have story time. Trump's kind of been like wishy-washy with the trans. He's more libertarian. Hey, someone wants to be trans, they want to use, the wrong bathroom, it's up to them. He's pretty wishy-washy on that. The jab. Ron DeSantis not only told employers in Florida, and I live in Florida, I'm telling you, not only did he tell employers in Florida, you can't force anyone to get the jab, he took it a step further and said, if you do, we'll shut you down. We'll shut you down. We'll sue you. He went on to say, listen, we follow the science, and the science is showing this booster shot's dangerous. He told people don't get it. We're recommending, my Surgeon General is recommending people in Florida don't get the booster. Okay? But Trump, he pushes it because, he was proud of his warp speed. Now, I'm just telling you what DeSantis people are going to tell the voters in Iowa. It's going to change their mind if they're thinking of voting for Trump. Look at Florida. What I had people, and Iowa's up north. There was a lot of people that came from up north during the pandemic because they were locked down all over. I mean, even AOC and the liberal mayor, the socialist guy before Eric Adams, I forget his name, they came and vacationed in Florida with no mask. They were forcing all their people in New York City to wear masks, to stay isolated. And they came down to Florida, and there's videos of AOC dancing at a nightclub, hugging on a guy, drinking and partying. I met people from Massachusetts that came down there and were like, man, I felt like I left communist China and came to America. This is awesome how Florida is. Because Ron DeSantis followed the science. He locked down in the beginning because we didn't know. And we locked down maybe for a couple of weeks, or, we did the 15-day thing and then maybe another week. And then he opened wide open. Wide open. They're going to remind people of this. Let me see what other notes I got. So there's 1,699 precincts. You need a lot of people in the ground game. DeSantis has been focused on the ground game, getting people together. In fact, his wife has a coalition of women. She had over 1 million in Florida alone. So I can't imagine how many she got nationwide, called Mamas for DeSantis. And she claims she's got mamas in every precinct that are educated, that are going to do what I just told you to do. On top of pastors that DeSantis recruited, on top of the governor, who's a Christian evangelical, who, if I'm not mistaken, I know she got the evangelical vote like 90%. She endorsed them, so she's going to be bringing in people to convince other people. She's very popular. But Mamas for DeSantis, she's calling mamas from all over the country. Now, there was a big confusion. She was on Fox, and she said, I have women from all over the country, and I'm letting them know they can participate in the Iowa caucus. Now, people got confused who didn't understand how it worked and thought she was saying they can vote. They can't vote, But they could come in and be salespeople, like I just said, convince you. They're going to be bussing people in. They're going to be flying people in to come in and convince Trump voters, Haley voters, Ramaswamy voters, you got to vote for Desantis. He's the best option. I mean, she had 1 million in Florida, so I don't know how many she's got nationwide. And, you know, the Bible says it's better not to brag about yourself. I forget, I should have looked it up. But one of the Proverbs basically says, don't brag about yourself. Let other people brag about you. You know, Ron DeSantis' wife is his wingman. She's a powerful voice. I mean, there was commercials that brought tears to my eyes. She talked about what kind of husband she was when she was diagnosed with breast cancer and how he would come home and take care of the children and take care of the house because she just had chemotherapy and he was there. She talked about how proud she was that, you know, that he served in the Iraq War. He's the only veteran in this race, and I think on both sides, if I'm not mistaken. You know, even including the independents. He's a Navy officer who served in Iraq. I mean, she, you know, when she gets out and she's going around, she's playing the ground game too. And she's a very articulate speaker, and she's very smart. She knows politics. She can convey a good message. She's a good message giver. So it's a good team. So he's got the ground game going on. They're in every county, and he's going door to door. He's going in person. He's going to churches. And like I said, he's going to get the evangelical vote, and he's a Catholic, and he's just giving them basic Catholic teaching. You know, life is sacred from the womb to the tomb, and he practices what he preaches. I've watched him first here as a resident of Florida. He's an awesome governor. You know, he is an incredible governor. You know, so I think these are the reasons I think he could upset in Iowa. Like I said, he's down 39%. You know, that's the polls. But polls don't vote. People vote. And in Iowa, people change their minds. So even if you win Iowa, Mike Huckabee won Iowa, but he didn't win the nomination. I think that's the year McCain won, maybe 2008. I forget. But it's big. You win Iowa, and then you get momentum, and you get donors. And then whoever is in last maybe drops out, and then the field is smaller. Then you go to New Hampshire, and if you do that again, you know, it could be a game changer. Now, like I said, President Trump was the best president in my lifetime. And that's saying a lot because I always thought Ronald Reagan was the best, and I didn't think I'd ever see anyone better. And President Trump was better even when he had all the forces against him. Not only did he have, you know, the natural Democrat Party against him, and not only did he have the liberal media, he also had Fox News against him. You know, our guys, you know, were stabbing him in the back. But on top of that, we now know the CIA, the FBI, all the intelligence agencies had all these trolls that Obama put in place, and they were working against him. And because he wasn't a politician, he didn't do what most politicians do. You know, when Bush came in, he fired all of Clinton's attorney generals. I think there's like, you know, throughout our, what's the word I'm looking for? Prosecutors, not attorney generals, U.S. prosecutors throughout the country. There's like 200 of them. They're in different states. There's a lot of them throughout. He fired them all and replaced them with his own guys. Obama did the same thing. Trump comes in, and being a businessman, he's like, well, you know, I'm going to bring in some of my people, but people that have been here, they know what's going on. I'm going to leave a team. He never thought in a million years that these people would hate America enough to try and undermine his presidency and undermine the country. And he was wrong. These people worked against him. Even his own attorney generals worked against him. You know, so this time he'll know better. But even with all that, with the media against him, with the intelligence communities lying about him, with the Democrats, and even a lot of Republican rhinos against him. You know, Mitch McConnell wasn't on his side. I mean, he had a lot of force. Even with that, he accomplished so much more than any other president. He was the most pro-life president we ever had. He promised us conservative judges that would overturn Roe v. Wade, and everybody rolled their eyes. Like, yeah, that's what Reagan said. That's what Bush said. And he delivered. He delivered. You know, he stopped funding overseas abortions. He stopped funding abortions here. You know, of course, Biden, the most pro-abortion president, came in and reversed everything. But, during those 4 years, he did more for the pro-life movement than any president in my lifetime. Not only that, as Christians, we believe in peace. And he used Ronald Reagan's doctrine, peace through strength. And we had peace for 4 years. Not only that, they said it would be impossible to get another peace deal in the Middle East. He got 4 peace deals in the Middle East. And he did it not only through strength, but through his business savvy. He offered the Saudis and he offered the Moroccans different things, incentives, financial incentives, if you work with Israel. And he knew Iran was the head of the snake. We got to cut that off. Obama had it backwards. He was friends with Iran, giving them billions and billions of dollars, helping them sell oil. Trump knew we have to starve these people. We have to starve the Iraqi government, make it so hard, make them so broke, they can't fund the terrorists. Biden comes in and reverses that, of course, funds the terrorists, and they attack Israel. Same thing with Russia. We had so many sanctions that we made it so hard for Russia that we were breaking Russia financially too. Biden comes in and reverses that, and Russia invades Ukraine, just like he did when Obama was president. But this time he went for the full Monty. So there was so much good that Trump did. And for the working people, man, it was so good for the blue collar guy. It was so easy. He just made it so easy for oil companies to drill and provide gas that we became energy independent for the first time. So that meant tons of blue collar jobs. And that meant blue collar guy like me could spend $40 a week on gas rather than what I'm spending now, like $100 a week on gas. And not only that, he cut taxes so much on me. I took home more, but he also cut it on corporations so they could pay more. And it was the first time in 30 years that blue collar wages actually went up. Usually just, even with inflation. Blue collar wages went up like 12%. White collar wages went up a little bit, but blue collar guys like me, our wages went up like 8 to 10% every year. So he helped the working man. I can go on and on about all that he did. But the main reason people are voting for him, it's an old-fashioned word. You don't see it too much. And especially even in Catholic YouTube, I get so mad. They're not even loyal to our Pope these days. It's called loyalty. It's loyalty. He promised us what he would do, and against all odds, against everybody coming after him, he stuck to his guns, and he fulfilled his promises to us. So, I feel we owe him a debt of loyalty, and I think that's why he's up so much, because of what they did to him on election night. And every time I talk about it, they demonetized me for a few months, so I'm not going to get into all that, but we know what they did to Trump. We know they robbed him. And so we owe him. I feel like, something like I said, loyalty, I always talk about Pope Francis, how these Catholics are so disloyal to the Pope, how Padre Pio was furious at a confession when a guy confessed that, back in the day, the Pope John the 15th or whatever, 18th, I don't know, the Pope during St. Padre Pio's time, he confessed to him that he was disturbed by him, and he threw him out. He's like, we owe obedience to the Pope. I feel we owe a sense of loyalty to this man who was loyal to us, So I think we owe him the vote, and I think that's why he's leading. I think most people still deep down inside know loyalty is a good thing. And, it's like Deborah from Everyone Loves Raymond. I don't know if you ever watch it, but she plays a Catholic housewife, and in real life she's a Catholic actress. And her husband took the side of somebody else. And she's like, we're married. We're supposed to be on the same size. Even if I'm anti-puppy, you should support me. And that's how I feel. Even if, if Pope Francis comes out and says all puppies should be killed, we don't talk bad about it. In the same way with Trump, I know he's a politician that's different. We owe much more allegiance to God and to his vicar of Christ here on earth. But we do owe loyalty. I mean, everybody came against Trump. People used to, even Steve Bannon now, who's all Trump. He was leaking like a sieve. Trump fired him, he said, because he was leaking like a sieve to the New York Times and Washington Post. And Bannon said, well, I was just trying to help. I figured if the stories got out. He's so full of crap. He's another backstabber, Steve Bannon. There were so many backstabbers. But this time when Trump comes in, he's going to know that you can't trust nobody in Washington, even if they act like they're Trump, like Steve Bannon did. So I think when he comes back this time, he's going to make America even greater. He made America great, and that became something bad. Oh, make America great. That's racist. Why wouldn't you want to make America great? If you're an American, you want America to be great because you know the stronger America is, the better off the rest of the world is. America lifts everyone's boats. When America is doing great, the whole world is doing great. When America is strong, the world is a much safer place. When America is weak, as you can see, the world is a much more dangerous place. So Trump proved he could do it. You know, he's got that executive experience, and and that's what the president's called. It's the executive branch for a reason. He's in charge. He's not an expert at everything. He screwed up with the jab, but he thought he was doing right by us. He had all the scientists telling him. Unfortunately, these were lab coat bureaucrats that have been in Washington for 50 years, and the media science, the real doctors that were saying these policies are going to backfire, and they did, But, being who Trump is, for all, nobody's perfect. He's a very prideful, braggadocious guy. He's not going to say he made a mistake. He's got this thing where he won't apologize, and it was him. They told him, the media laughed when the media wanted the jab. They're like, oh, he can never get it in a year. And he got it in a year. And they're like, oh, I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take the Trump jab until Biden got in. And they're like, if you don't take this jab, you're evil. So, he made some mistakes. But when he wanted something done, he got it done. He wanted to secure the border. He secured the border. And, he said he was going to let Mexico pay for the wall. I think he got him to pay for the wall. He told Mexico, listen, if you don't keep these guys in Mexico, we're not giving you any aid. And we're going to tax the crap out of all your stuff coming over. So the Mexican army stopped people from coming in. He did a lot of stuff like that Biden reversed. And this is why we have this fentanyl crisis just pouring over and this human trafficking problem. It's all because Biden reversed Trump's border policy, And I think Desantis will secure the border. I think they'll both be great presidents. But if it comes to the primary and they're both here, I feel like, Trump deserves our allegiance and our loyalty. And I'm going to vote Trump. If he doesn't win and DeSantis becomes president, I'll be just as happy. Either one of them will be a great president. And, this is, primary seasons. They're going to call each other the devil. But whoever wins the Republican primary, whether it's Trump or DeSantis, they're going to fully support the other guy. I guarantee you, mark my words. And that's, and that's how we got to be. Whoever wins, right now, Trump's my pick. DeSantis is my number 2 guy. Nikki Haley wins, I'll still support her. And I'm sure DeSantis and Trump will as well. So I think politically should be a great pick for vice president for either Trump or DeSantis. But as president, I think DeSantis is proven he's more in line with Catholic values. He's more in line with evangelical values. As far as getting things done for us Catholics and evangelicals, Trump got it done at the national level. DeSantis got it done at the state level. So I'm going to have to go with Trump and watch him take care of business at the national level. And the next time we'll have DeSantis for 8 years. So we'll have 12 years, of good conservative leadership. So that's just my opinion as a blue-collar Catholic. I thought it might be interesting to some. I always get people asking me my opinion. I've been a political nerd since I'm a teenager. I wasn't surprised when Robertson took second. I was a big Robertson supporter. I wasn't surprised when Huckabee won. I was a big Huckabee supporter. So I know a little bit, just from history. I didn't go to school and study this. I'm no scholar, just a blue-collar guy who's involved in politics. But most importantly, the most important thing is to serve the Lord, your God, with all your heart, soul, and mind. The most important thing you can do today is to love God more than anything and love your neighbor as yourself. Like James said, show me your faith and I'll show you my faith with my works. Show me you love God. I'll show you I love God by loving people. That's most important. Politics is secondary, but, as free Americans, I think it's our duty and our responsibility to vote and to be educated. So this is just my little way of educating you from a blue-collar guy's point of view. So God bless and stay Catholic.